how is it that the world's most successful people, the world's highest achievers, how do they deal with and react to and use failure in their lives? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. Failure is such a massive topic. It's pretty much inevitable in our lives. It's said that someone who's never failed at something is someone who's never really lived, who's someone that's never really attempted something. If you're going after success, failure is just part of that process. We're going to talk about what are the differences, and there's a big difference, and this will give you a new outlook, a new point of view on how the world's highest achieving people react to failure, so you can use that in your life to be able to achieve more faster. Welcome to episode 20 of the Accelerated Achievement Show. Super excited about this topic because it's one of the biggest things that the education system literally screws us over in many ways. In the education system, in the schooling system, we get told and we get programmed and conditioned that failure is something bad. If we fail, we get punished. It's bad. That's what we get programmed. Not just me, but pretty much most of society. The vast majority of people on this planet has that conditioning when they come out of the schooling system. Yet, the world's most successful people view failure a little differently. That's why I hope this episode gives you that small little nuance that will make all the difference, help you achieve more in all areas of your life, in your health, in your wealth, in your love, your relationships, in your happiness, in your level of fulfillment and energy in your life. That's what I want to help you with right here. And when it comes to the first thing that comes to mind is this quote that I share with so many customers, so many clients, is that failure is the secret to success. Many people want the success, they want the glory without any of the failure along the way. But as I said in the introduction here, failure is part of the process. It's built in. It's like when you're going and as children or as toddlers, we're going and learning how to walk. Failure is part of the process to get there. And a great story comes to mind. It's a story of Sarah Blakely, and I talked about this in my book, Skilled Success, all about accelerated learning and skill development. I talked about it there. It's a story of Sarah Blakely, who now is massively successful and became one of America's first billionaire women. Her net worth was, according to last year, was over 1 billion, 1.1 billion. That was her net worth, yet her story is fascinating. I want to sum it up here, give you a concise version of it. When she was growing up, she wanted to become a lawyer, but she bombed the LSATs twice. So she went to get a job at Disney World and they rejected her initially, but she worked there, she was unhappy. So she went on and she moved into selling fax machines. And then eventually, after all of those failures, years and years and years, eventually moved on and founded her own company called Smanx and became a billionaire. But here's the key part, and this is what she talks about in interviews now. When she was a child, she would be sitting at the dinner table and her dad would ask her and her siblings would ask them, "What have you failed at this week?" Not because he's evil, not because he's a bad father, but simply because as growing up, and as she said in an interview, growing up, her father encouraged them to fail because he understood that if we're failing, we're learning new things. If you're failing and if you have a mindset where you're open to learning, if you have a mindset where you're looking for the lessons, what can I learn? How can I do this better? If you come from that optimization mindset, failure is great because it's helping you learn the most. It's also said that in success, you can only learn so much from success, but you can learn far more in the times that you fail, that you land in that mud, and it's messy and it's frustrating at the time. That's when you can learn the most, but you need to have that mindset. Another story comes to mind, Michael Jordan. It was said in the famous, one of my favorite commercials of all time. It's a famous commercial, Michael Jordan for Nike, talking about how in his career, he's failed many times. He went and lost almost 300 games, and 26 times he's been trusted to take the match-winning shot and missed. He's missed over 3,000 shots. He talks about it in a 30-second, 1-minute clip in this commercial. And at the end, he sums up, I succeed because of that failure along the way. That failure is that secret. Another example, and I really want to help you dive deep. All of these examples are reinforcement that help us really look at. And you'll find that if you go and study successful people like I've been privileged to for 5 years now, and if you really study human performance and performance psychology, you'll find this as not just a one-track example where it's just sometimes someone reacts towards a failure, but you'll find this universally across successful people, how they jump back up. Last example here is about Van Gogh. In his life, he painted over 2,000 paintings and sold one. He sold one painting in his life. He was considered a failure. But when we look at him now, one of the greatest artists of all time, and is known throughout history for his incredible artwork. So, how do they react to failure? Number one, they don't look at failure as something bad. So we need to break out of, collectively as a society, we need to break out of this paradigm that failure is something bad. Instead, we have to look at it as, if this is where we are, we have an ambition, we have a goal, and this is where we want to get to, this is our achievement, this is the celebration because we got what we wanted, we need to stop viewing failure as a step backwards, like most people would view it, like the school system programs us to view it, and instead look at it as a step forward. Every time you're failing, if you fail forward, you're failing and moving closer to the result. Because again, one final example here, the light bulb, well not the light bulb, but the filament for the light bulb over 10,000 times, or failed over and over again, attempting to create this filament, create the light bulb, and he failed over and over again. But each one of those failures moved him towards the success, because now he identified what doesn't work. Hence, that's how we have to react to failure. But the first thing is, we have to fall in love with failure. Because it comes from, number one is where we hate failure, where failure is like, we fear failure, hence we don't ever take action. That's the worst level to be at. That's at the bottom of this, let's say, pyramid of failure. That's the worst level to be at, where you're paralyzed by failure. How do you get over that? You bring this to your awareness more and more of all these successful people and how they use failure, just like you're doing in this episode here of all these success stories throughout history. Beyond that, the next level is simply being okay with failure, where you're just, hey, failure is a part of life, it's inevitable. It's better than being paralyzed by failure, but it's still not the optimal level of using failure to your ultimate advantage. I'm assuming you want to get to the best, you want to get the best results you possibly can. Hence, beyond that, the next level isn't just being, hey, failure is inevitable, I'm gonna deal with it when it comes. Now the next level is you love failure, where you love success, but equally you love failure. You love those times where you screw up because you look at it as something constructive. You look at it as not something that you get punished for, but you look at it as something that's moving you forward. If this is where you are at the beginning, you have a dream. If this is where you want to get to, this is the accomplishment of that dream, you look at each failure as moving you forward towards that achievement. Just like Michael Jordan, just like Sarah Blakely, build up that mindset in yourselves and even celebrate failure. Hence, if you want to, here's an exercise for you to pause this episode or at the end and write out a list of all the times you failed in your life. Then write out, okay, what did you learn from it? So view it as something constructive. Then go and just stand up for a minute and just celebrate that failure. Because you're gonna recondition yourself to view failure as something positive. And when you do, when you view it as something great, that's when in your mind, now a lot of the fear goes away. Because momentum, if we look at momentum and how success happens and why it's so much easier to keep achieving once we've achieved initially, it's because that fear goes away. And a lot of people are paralyzed, they don't want to fail. What I'm gonna share with you here is failure is great because, additional reason here, it makes you human, it makes you authentic, it makes you real. And when you can then go and share that failure out to the world, a great example of this is the last scene, for example, of Eminem in 8 Mile. Go and watch that last clip where he puts his own failures out into the world. Now nobody else can blame him for his scars, for his failures, because he purposely put it out into the world. It's a huge psychology shift between the world's most successful people, the world's most highest achieving people, and people that don't achieve so much. And again, it's often not their fault. It's simply that we've been conditioned that failure is something bad, when in fact, we should view it as something instructive. We should view it as something that's going to move us forward. And for the people around us, we have to start bringing this up into our consciousness, into our philosophy around not punishing failure, but encouraging people to fail, encouraging them to go for it, encouraging them, just like Sarah Blakely's dad and father when she was growing up, for her and her siblings. In the same way, for the people around us, for our family, for our friends, for our business partners, we have to encourage failure. We have to encourage them to go for it. And then beyond that, we have to encourage them to debrief their failure. Because failure is only productive, failure is only effective if you're looking for the lessons from it, if you're looking about what didn't work. Because if success is about doing the right things and not doing the wrong things, failure helps you identify those wrong things. But you have to look for that. You need to have that mindset, that willingness to look for it, willingness to go out and seek that lesson, that learning, that test, that result from that failure to move forward and keep getting better. So you have to, firstly, we must encourage ourselves and others to love failure so we can get rid of that fear. Don't be paralyzed by it and move forward towards achieving our dreams. And then number two, we must encourage ourselves and others to debrief in the times that we do fail. Debrief. Why did we fail? What happened? What can we do better next time? Go into that reflective mode and journal on it or debrief on it, and then go and use that to succeed next time. But it's about viewing failure as something great. That's how the world's most successful people view it. And these aren't just a few scenarios I gave you. If you really go in depth into studying success and then studying performance psychology, you'll find that this is equivalent across the board. This is a pattern of successful people, not just a one-off. So use this in your life, and I hope you enjoyed this episode here, enjoyed this learning and these stories, and I hope that you deploy some of this philosophy in your life. So if you did, make sure that below you like, you comment of your greatest takeaway, your greatest lesson from this. If you have any questions, comment below. So like this, go and comment, go and share it out. We as human beings must step up into a new higher level of thinking, and stop the education system from conditioning us to hate failure, which holds us back from our greatness. And we must step up into new, higher levels of potential and success. And this is one of the ways to get there. We must encourage failure. So share this out and pass this on to someone else, because there's a lot of people who are paralyzed by failure. They need to hear something like this to go and be able to move past that, take more action, and get more results and achievement in their lives. So like, comment, share, go and share this out with other people, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more episodes of the Accelerate Achievement Show, helping you, helping others, helping us all step up into new higher levels of achievement and fulfillment in our lives. Stay tuned for more episodes.
Achievement accelerated with the Accelerated Achievement Show.